Welcome to my Carter Model N carburetor build from a Kohler K301. This is the number 26 Carter carburetor. It's just like the number 30, except this one's a little bit smaller. And this is part 1. So it's coming off of this case, 222. Bought this not too long ago, and it's got a little bit of running problems. I'm going to rebuild the carburetor. You can see over here, this is where the fuel line goes in from the fuel pump. I'm going to open up the hood here so you can see it a little bit better. This is the top of the carburetor here. You can see the high-speed screw right there. You can also see where the throttle, the little throttle assembly with the little shaft that pulls it open and closed is right there. It's pretty dirty. It's not horrible, but it's pretty dirty. Then you got the idle screw right there on the right-hand side. So basically, I'm just going to have to take off the air cleaner and take that carburetor off and get that cable off there. And we will be able to clean this thing up. So I just need to take this wing nut off. Just give it a few spins. Hopefully it'll come right off and I won't lose it. Alright, so after I took it off, I had to just pull the air cleaner cover off. And you can see under it, I've got a brand new air filter. That's where I'm going to put all the stuff inside of this so I don't lose it. There's 2 little holes there to help it breathe a little easier. Alright, so take this off. That's a pre-cleaner right there. Had to get that too. You want to put about a tablespoon of oil on that when you put it on there. It's a paper filter. It's in good shape because I just bought it. If yours is dirty, you'd want to get the dirt out of it. Okay. So put this wing nut back on here so I'm less likely to lose it. I'll just put it on the screw here. Be able to keep it together where it's supposed to be. And I got to get those 3 screws off. If you can see them, there's 1, 2, and 3. Just using a flat screwdriver, just take those off, and this whole little assembly right here that holds the air breather will come right off with it. So I got my screwdriver. Craftsman, of course. It's a lifetime warranty. Something goes wrong, and you just go and exchange them at the store. This wasn't on there too tight, so I just took them right off. I loosened all 3 of them up, of course, first, and then at the end I unscrewed all 3 of them, being able to hold on to them. So I had to put the camera down, so you won't see that part, but you'll see once I take off this little assembly here. So I got it off. I got the 3 screws there, and I'm going to throw them into the air cleaner holder. There's a gasket on here. It should stay on there, and if it's damaged, you need to replace it. Mine's in good shape, so I'm not too worried about it. And I'm just going to toss those screws right there. Cool. Alright. Now here's the carburetor. So in order to get it off, we've got 2 bolts. 9/16, I believe is what they were. First I'm going to have to disconnect the fuel from that fuel pump right there. Just disconnect that fuel line right there. You can see right in the middle of the screen right now. It's got this little clip I'm pointing to it. So I need to squeeze that with some pliers. Got some really, really cheap pliers here, but they do the trick, so that's all that matters. It's like a shark. Just squeeze that. Pull it down. Notice it just pulls right down once it loosens up. And then with my hand, I was able to pull the line off. It's a little tight, so I had to use kind of both hands to squeeze it and pull it off. Okay. So, in order to do it, I grabbed this glass cup here, just in case, in the glass jar, just in case there was any fuel that came out of there. I tried doing it with the pliers. It didn't work too well, so I ended up just loosening it with the pliers and pulling off my hand. There was no fuel in there, so it had drained back down, apparently. There's a bolt right there I have to take off. I think it's 9/16. And there's another one over here, and also 9/16. You had to use a wrench. I couldn't get the screwdriver in there except to turn it, maybe an 1/8 of a turn. So that wasn't very useful. So also, you got to take this throttle little connection here. That right there is what's hooked up to the governor. And there's this little teeny tiny clip that holds the left-hand side of that shaft on. You got to take that clip off with some pliers, some needle nose. See, you can see it right here. It's a little tiny clip. I'm going to spin it around my finger. You can just pull it off with some needle nose is the easiest way. I tried doing it with pliers to start with, and I couldn't get them in there good. All right, so I got the carburetor off. You can see that I have got some gasket on there that was really stuck to it. I don't know if it just got really hot and kind of melted to it, or somebody put some sort of stuff on it. Notice there's a bolt under there. That's what holds your bowl on. It's also got a gasket on it, so be sure to take that bolt off, take that gasket off because it comes in a replacement. There's the low speed screw. There's a high speed screw. You're going to take both of those all the way out. And you can't really tell, but there's a screw. It's black right now, but there's a screw that kind of keeps the throttle from closing all the way. Just allow a little bit of air through there. You have to take that out too, just to clean it up. Mine was a little bent too. Okay, so I've got them all taken off. I got the bowl off. You can see still got a little bit of gas on the bottom of it. Some of it poured out on my hand, some poured out on my shirt. That was fantastic. This is called the float. That goes into that connects to the carburetor right there, and the bowl goes over that. And it does exactly what you think it does. It floats in the gasoline, and once it floats up, it turns the flow of fuel off. So once the bowl is full, it turns it off. See this little rod right here goes through the float. It also goes through this part on the carburetor. I'm going to kind of show you where it goes here. See, so it goes through there, and it also goes through the float, so that it has something to pivot on. What happens once the bowl fills up, that floats up and stops the needle. Okay, this is the high-speed needle. That's the low idle. And that right there is just something to keep the throttle shaft up a little bit. And that right there is that nut I was telling you about. You can see how it screws into the bottom of the carburetor there. It doesn't go like that. Of course, you have to put it through the bowl first. But just remember, there's a gasket on there, and it does come in the carburetor kit, so you want to replace that gasket. The other thing you got to take off is that little piece of brass right there. That's where the needle sits into. I think it's called a needle seat. And you take that off, and there's also this little rubber gasket going around here. I can kind of dig my fingernail into it to get it. I had to use the screwdriver to really pull it out. And the one I'm pointing to right now, that is where, of course, the fuel comes into the carburetor. This one's metal, so I didn't take it off. This Kim Dip stuff from Berryman's, it will eat away at plastic. So anything plastic, you definitely got to take off and not dip in there. I'm going to dip all this stuff except for the bowl and the float. I'm going to leave those out. I don't need to dip those. There's no reason to. So, and also, that is a replaceable item there. It comes in your carburetor kit, so you don't have to float. You don't have to put it in there either, nor the float. Okay. So I'm going to pull this little basket up. It comes with this basket. You just put everything in there, and then you let it sit down in there. And I don't know. I let it sit for an hour. I've heard people letting it sit for a couple of days, but these things are made out of aluminum, and this stuff does eat away at aluminum too, not just plastic. Of course, it'd probably take a long time. Notice I'm just submerging it completely, and this stuff smells pretty bad. It is not really safe. You don't want your animal getting into it or anything. So just put the top back on there. Oh, who messed up my work desk? I had it so neat before. Anyways, put this lid on there, and we'll see you in part 2, which will be the reveal of how clean it is. We'll put it all back together. Thanks for watching. Check out part 2.